Hello everyone, I'm Catherine Fuller and I'm a contracts advisor at the Society of Authors. We are the UK trade union for all types of writers, illustrators and literary translators at all stages of their careers. We've been advising individuals and speaking out for the profession for more than a century. I'm also coordinator of the Translators Association, a special interest group at the SOA which supports literary translators and promotes literary translation. I'm going to talk briefly today about the all-important subject of getting paid in translation. I'll be looking at ways to get the most out of your contract and professionalising your work. Much of our experience is in the UK and the US publishing sectors and into translations into English, but I hope the general principles will be helpful to you wherever you are in your literary translation journey. The first and most important thing to say is never ever feel uncomfortable about being asked to be fairly paid. Fair remuneration for the use and exploitation of your work is at the heart of the Society of Authors campaigning. As the translator, you are entitled to share with the author and publisher in the success of your work. We're often asked what is a standard rate of pay for the commission of a translation. Remuneration is a matter for negotiation between you and the publisher. But in our experience, translators and publishers currently negotiate fees starting in the region of £95 per 1,000 words. The word count can apply to either the source or the target language. Just make sure that you and the publisher agree which one. You might also be offered payment by page length or characters, particularly if it is a non-UK publisher, but the principle is the same. Publishers sometimes assume that the £95 is a recommended rate. It's not. Competition law does not allow us to recommend a rate. Neither is it a standard rate or a maximum rate. It is based on our extensive observation of contracts from the more than 700 members of the Translators Association, and it provides a professional and flexible framework for negotiations between translator and publisher. The fee may be considerably higher than £95, depending on various factors which you and the publisher will want to consider. How long will it take you to complete the translation? Does the publisher need the translation by a certain deadline? Is there grant funding available to support the costs? Are there specific difficulties with the text? Will you need to do extra research? Don't forget to check when and how the fee will be paid, as this can make a big difference to your cash flow and make you vulnerable to any delays with the project. It's important to get as much information as possible from the publisher about their plans for your translation. What is the print run? And which sales do they expect to generate the most royalties? Books in the UK are routinely discounted by at least 50%, so pushing for 52.5% rather than 50% as the cut-off for high discount royalties will help you earn out your advance more quickly. Any plans for a foreign, particularly a US edition? Your contract should include provision for you to benefit from income from the sale of your translation. Context is all important when it comes to contracts. It's important to look at all the terms in your contract, not just the finance terms and not just specific points in isolation. Remember that fair remuneration is not just about the agreed sum that you are paid for your translation. Is it a flat fee? You may be getting a very good fee, but nothing in royalties or subsidiary rights. Will you get a royalty on sales? If so, is the fee an advance against royalties or a set fee plus royalties from the first copy sold? A royalty from first copy sold can, for example, help to offset a low fee. We're often asked to make a standard recommendation on royalties, and again, this is very difficult. And not just because of competition law, but because it is really hard to give figures out of context. As a translator, your royalty comes from the author share, which is usually 80 to 20% in favour of the author. But this depends very much on the terms of the head contract between the author and the original publisher. There can often be very little left in the pot for the translator. And we're working with publishers to encourage much greater awareness and transparency on this issue. Don't forget that your rights are an asset too. The more rights you can control, the more you can exploit your work. Ideally, the rights you grant in your translation should mirror those held by the publisher in the original work. Retaining dramatisation rights is another way of earning income from your work. A publisher may take film rights, but is very unlikely to be able to use them. Sometimes a publisher may ask you to assign copyright in your work. You should always try and avoid doing this, as you are giving away all control in your work for the duration of copyright, and in the UK, that is life plus another 70 years. But even if the publisher insists that you do this, then don't forget that you can still get royalties in your work, and you can still benefit from collective licensing income when your book is borrowed from a library or photocopied. I'll explain in a bit more detail about this later. If you translate from a less widely translated language, then your translation may also be used as a bridge into a third language. Hold on to these relay rights. The financial compensation is minimal, usually around £100, but it gives you more control over the use and credit of your work. Think creatively about how you can improve terms and boost your income. Will the publisher extend the deadline? A longer deadline gives you the flexibility to increase your income by fitting in shorter, better paid work whilst working on a project which is less well paid. I mentioned collective licensing a bit earlier. That's when money is collected for secondary licensing of a writer's work, for example, through photocopying, scanning and retransmission. This includes translators too. Can be books, scripts, articles, or even visual contributions. Models vary. In some countries, the money goes into a collective pot and is distributed to writers' organisations and projects. In others, income is distributed individually. In the UK, this is managed by ALCS, a not-for-profit and membership society. You don't have to be based in the UK to join it, as ALCS have reciprocal arrangements with over 55 collecting societies throughout the world, or you can decide to join your local collecting society. You can also benefit when your book is borrowed from a public library. For translators based in the UK, this is organised by the PLR scheme, which is run via the British Library, but similar arrangements exist elsewhere. So negotiating on what seems to be small details can cumulatively make a difference to your income. They can also make a difference to you as a translator. It's professional and empowering to take ownership of your work as a creator. It's good for the publisher too. If you're treated professionally and paid, then you will be fully engaged and committed to the project's success. This is a very brief overview, and I know that there's a lot to take in, but there are plenty of resources available to help you. The SOA, for example, has a wide range of guides, including a UK translator publisher contract guide, and all these guides are free to our members. We offer free and unlimited contract vetting to all our members, so that's just one of the great reasons to join us. If you're interested in finding out more about the Society of Authors, then check out the website at www.soa.org. If you're working with US publishers, then PEN America and the Writer's Guide also have useful guides and information. There is also a brilliant organisation called Seattle, which is not, contrary to what I thought when I first started working in translation, a city in Northwest America, but CEATL. It's the European Council of Literary Translators Associations. They lobby and support translators associations across Europe and produce an excellent e-zine. They've researched on translators' pay and conditions, so if you live in Europe or are working with European publishers or European languages, it's an excellent first step. You can also find out more about the Translators Association in the country where you live, so they can give you some more specific advice. Thank you for your time. I wish you a happy and productive BCLT summer school, and I hope the sun is shining wherever you're logged on. Have a great week. Thanks again, and goodbye.